There are 3 Oklahoma National Guard pilots who drill in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They serve their country and state together in the same unit. They have a long history with each other. They've even deployed together. They call themselves brothers, but the friendliness only lasts for the weekend.
Well, there's really no competition. I'm always better, and I'm always there first, most of the time.
Because I was beating him in that all day long. I mean, it was unmerciful. It was pretty bad.
You'll see it before you get there, so you know what's going on.
Like 80% of the time, I'm there every time, first.
These 3 Oklahoma Guardsmen are competitors in their civilian jobs. They all work for competing news stations in Oklahoma reporting the news. It's a unique scenario for these 3 battle buddies to be in the same media market battling for viewers. Oklahoma is known for severe weather. All 3 have chased some of the largest tornadoes ever recorded.
Go Jon Welsh.
Yeah, hey, I'm going to tell you exactly where it is. This is right in my house. It's crossing right now, Bryant, just north of 12th Street. We're getting some highlights of some flashes in there.
Chief Warrant Officer 3 Jon Welsh works for KFOR News Channel 4 in Oklahoma City. He had a bird's eye view on May 20th, 2013, when a devastating EF5 tornado touched down in his hometown of Moore.
And as we're getting down past Lindsay, you can really start to see the storms building over Newcastle.
We're definitely starting to see that lowering, and this thing is starting to pick up a lot of energy.
And we just turned, and then the tornado was pretty much there on the ground at Newcastle, which for us as a storm chaser, it kind of couldn't have worked out any better because we had a full tank of gas. We had a solid 3.5 hours, and then we were able to watch it go from there all the way towards Moore.
You see it clearly right there, and here's the GM plant. There's Tinker Air Force Base. This is Midwest and Douglas.
Because the storm's getting so big, normally we're about 2 miles away. We had to be about 5 miles away on this storm because the inflow was so severe that if we got any closer, it's just going to pull us in, and we don't have the speed or the power to break away from it. Immediately after that, we still had probably an hour's worth of gas on board, and we immediately went and did damage.
You guys can see this. I don't know how to explain it, how to describe it. This is terrible.
Jon received national attention for his calm demeanor during a horrific moment.
And one of the things that I still remember was, I believe it was a father or a male was ducked down, and this girl was running to him with mud all over her face, and I almost started crying.
Flying during these storms is a little different in the news than it is in the Army.
In the Guard, when you have storms, you fly away from them, and for the station, we fly towards them, and really close. There was one memorable occasion. It was my first tornado to cover, and I was out flying with Jon, and I knew that Jon had been doing it for a while, so I knew if I kept Jon in between myself and the tornado that I wouldn't be too close to it.
Sky 5 looking here with this shot.
I got focused on the story and focused on getting the right shot, and then realized that I couldn't see Jon anymore. So I got on the radio and I tried to call Jon, and he finally broke in and he said, "Man, I was just trying to get a hold of you. You're way too close to the tornado." So at that point, it was kind of pulling me in, so I had to go into a dive to get away from it, and then I got into a better position to cover it. But that was definitely a lesson learned at that time.
Chief Warrant Officer 4 Chase Rutledge joined the Oklahoma National Guard in 1992 and became an Army pilot in 1995. He has been working full-time for the Oklahoma National Guard, flying the skies of Oklahoma, supporting local, state, and federal agencies.
So I've been all over the United States doing missions, not just in Oklahoma, but I've spent about 3 years down on the southern border, doing the border mission down there. Spent some time up on the northern border mission, up around Canada. It was very cold.
Sometimes a routine training mission can turn into real world in an instant.
While we were flying, we just heard somebody make a mayday call.
An emergency crash landing on the highway in Muskogee, and Sky 5 pilot Chase Rutledge was there as he was training with the National Guard. And Chase says he has never been in a situation where he talked with the pilot moments before he crashed.
He said that he had an engine problem and that he had lost his engine. And he said that he was at 2,000 feet and he was 6 miles from the airport. Well, we knew that there was no way he was going to make the airfield, so he was going to go down somewhere. And we landed, provided help, and until emergency crews got there, and then we were able to get the information we needed, and we flew off.
Since 2012, Chase has been working for KOCO News Channel 5 in Oklahoma City as a backup helicopter pilot, working weekends and special events. His first major news story was a devastating floods that happened in Purcell, Oklahoma in 2015.
It's clearly some of the worst that we've seen
Right now we're looking at some railroad cars. It was the biggest flooding story in Oklahoma, and I was really honored to be able to cover that.
Chief Warrant Officer 4 Will Kavanagh has been flying a news helicopter since 2009 for KOTV News on 6. He has flown on hundreds of major news stories in Tulsa, but he also fills in for his sister station, News 9 in Oklahoma City. Like this past January, when he covered his brothers in uniform dropping water on a large wildfire in Edmond, Oklahoma.
It doesn't drop one big load and push the fire out from its point of origin there, creating more fire. Kelly, Amanda?
Well, okay, Will, that's a great explanation of what's happening.
Yeah, no
we've
kidding.
learned a whole lot.
Look, the way I like to report is I like to be informational. It's almost like instructional to me the way I report. In most of my reports, if you see them, even if it's a pothole in the road, I want to teach you why that pothole was there and what they're doing to fix it. One Blackhawk can work as much as 3 to 4 ground crews, if not more, depending on the fire. So that's a lot of help that a Blackhawk can add to these local fire departments. You want to teach people what they're doing to ensure their safety protocols when they're out there fighting fire over fire departments and other people on the ground. That then makes people go, okay, I understand why they're doing that.
Both their Army and civilian careers focus heavily on serving the community, a topic that each of them talk about with passion.
I love being able to give the information to Oklahomans and let them know what's going on before it happens.
And because we have several radios, we can assist, you know, in other ways. It's kind of, your job's there to tell a story, but if you get to help somebody out, it makes it even more rewarding.
There have been times where I've gone from reporting the tornadoes to putting on my National Guard uniform and going and jumping in the National Guard helicopter and then working it from the air in a different platform.
But the things I'm most proud about is when I work with police, fire, I've helped them find kids. And I'm so blessed with Griffin Communications. At my discretion, I'll put a police officer or fire department personnel up front, and we go on people searches. Hey, we got a kid lost, we need help. Get in the aircraft. We go out and we search for them.
You know, you meet people at the fair or wherever else, and they're like, hey man, you saved my life. I'm like, I didn't save anybody's life, you know? And I didn't pick you up, you weren't injured. He goes, dude, I was listening to you on the radio, and I was heading down Eastern, and you said it's coming right here, so I turned around. And if it wouldn't have been for you, I wouldn't have known.
Not only are they helping the community, even with the competition, they help each other out in the sky.
We flew in Iraq together, now we're flying here in Oklahoma City together doing different things, and we're in the same unit flying a different helicopter for the National Guard.
And even though we're in different aircraft, we're still acting as a crew. When we're out there on storms or on a scene or anything like that, we're making sure that we're acting as a crew, keeping spacing and separation so we stay safe and everybody gets a story, everybody goes home, maybe with a little bit of fun.
You know, we just really help each other out throughout the day, and hey, the scene's over here, look out here. And there's just that camaraderie and bond and professionalism that we have towards each other.
There's an ego to try to win and be competitive, but there's not an ego in the sense of, hey, I know it and you can't tell me. You know, it's very much then at that point we learn and listen from each other.
It's really a pretty neat environment that we get to work in, and I would say we're probably pretty lucky.
We take care of each other, that's for sure. I try to get in his shot as much as I can, though.
Even with the help in the skies, there's still plenty of friendly competition on the ground.
John's is faster, but but a lot of times I'll get there first just because we jump on the story.
The History Channel gets used a lot, especially the first or especially the third guy that shows up. Hey, are you flying for the History Channel today? And
sometimes they're last, so I get to call it to them, but it's kind of a little joke. I started and now they kind of work it against me every now and again. But I never let them forget who was here first. So, you know, again, that's part of our ribbing.
So you're always trying to look for that advantage. And I looked at the winds aloft, and the winds aloft were pretty high at relatively a low altitude. So as we're going towards Ponca City, which is about, I don't know, an hour north of here, I start to see him and I'm like, I'm gonna pass him, you know? And so we descend down and he come in, and we're able to get kind of there about the same time, if not just a little bit ahead. So then now I can rag on him about, hey, I thought you were a pilot, you know, shouldn't you look at winds and stuff like that?
Yeah, he finally found a way to get ahead of me, and I think he was doing something crazy like 150 that day. But that's the only way he's ever going to get ahead of me, is with the help of Mother Nature.
And then the other statement.
Blah. I don't even want to talk about that one. Yeah. that's just.
Yeah, gotta ride the tailwinds.
Reporting for the Oklahoma National Guard, I'm Army Staff Sergeant Christopher Bruce.
John's helicopter is bigger.
Really?
Cut that out.